Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to our Wednesday, the Leading Change episode, this week with Stephane Thanasack. Hi Stephane, welcome back.
Hi Vasco, I can't believe I'm still here with you. It's such a pleasure.
Thank you for your kind words. It's definitely a pleasure to have you here and today to talk about something that you as a coach and in your past as a Scrum Master, you were doing every single day. And that's working with change, whether it is a personal change, whether it is a team change, whether it is organizational, process. There's so many things changing all the time. So it is incumbent upon us as Scrum Masters to really learn to be natively inside the mindset of change leadership. And I do like to use the word leadership rather than management, because change is not managed, it's led, because it's the people who change themselves. It's not us who change them. So let's dive into that and let's hear a story of a team or an organization or a person that you are working with. And what was that change? And walk us through the steps of the change, right? So now that you have the benefit of hindsight or looking back, you can also highlight and detail what were the critical tools, tips, tricks, and techniques you used at that time that you still apply today.
Okay, let's tell the story about this company. They have a big product that is managing one of the systems, and they want to be a product to convert the way of working from project management to product management. And so they call a consulting company, and they put some agile roles and some IT project managers, PIM, they become product owners, you know the drill, right? And some project managers, they become scrum masters, and then they try, it fails, and I arrive at some point to try to maybe help the situation and the organization. The perimeter and the organization is about 6 or 7 teams, and they are all component teams, but they don't know that. For each team, there are product. And some product is about the front end, one product is about the back end and the database and the ETL, and you know the story. Every layer is a product. So what happened is that if I took some step back, they never changed the organizations, right? They only changed the names. So BIM, now you're Agile, thanks to that famous consulting company that was there before. And so what I needed to do first is to make them realize that were not acting as a team, but as a group of individuals, and to change the mindset of my product is not the product, but only a component of a product. So I came up with this simple idea that I now use very, very often with the managers, the teams, the product owners. The product is the burger. You know, you have slices of bread, you have the meat, you have the maybe chicken, tomatoes, sauce, whatever you want inside. Your job as a team is to build this burger. But some teams, they are responsible of only the bread and only the meat or the sauce or the fries or whatever you want. And maybe your customer, they don't even want a full burger, but they only want to start with only a very strange burger. Yes, I know. It's only composed of one slice of salad, tomato sauce, and 2 slices of bread. But they just want to start with that. And with this simple story, with this simple storytelling, maybe, the mindset started to change, because they all understood that there was more to build the product. Of course, you have to have a hot plate to present the burger. You have to, all the components, ingredients, they have to be hot at the same time so that you can serve the plate very, very fast. And to make the mindset change, I had to implement to make all the people in the organization conscious of the burger story, in fact.
I really like how you use the metaphor to relate to the problem, or relate the problem to the people who, as you said, at first they didn't see the problem, right? So I think that's one of the key, well, one tool that we certainly can use, and I think a very effective tool, which is to create a picture of what we do would look like if it was something else, like, you know, if it was a racing car, or if it was a sailboat. That's the retrospectives we usually use, or if it was a burger, right? Like, I think you said it very well. And then kind of have a conversation about, okay, so would you like to have a burger that only has half of the cheese, a little bit of tomato but not much, and it's missing the top bread? Like, would you eat that? Would you pay for it? Right? And then we can start to have that conversation, right? So front end, you're the top bun, you're the top of the bun, right? But
Yeah.
how about everything else? Like, can we sell a burger that is only the top half of the bun? Probably not, right?
Yeah, you need to give the full experience to your customer, because that way he will or she will be happy and come back to the restaurant again, hopefully.
So what happened next? I'm curious, because I'm assuming that this was an insightful way to communicate the challenge they were facing but didn't recognize before. But of course, that's only half of the story, because the other half is how do we react to that insight? What happened next?
Well, believe it or not, the next step is to make it roll, and maybe to organize the backlogs, and to scale everything with something which is a mix of Scrum of Scrum, or maybe a Nexus, if people know about this framework. But it was not the biggest issue. The biggest issue was to try to change the organization itself. If the team is the sum of all teams, then it makes sense to have only one big team, right? But doing so, it makes that you have to change maybe the roles and responsibilities, or the mission description for some people inside the organization. So you have to fight with the constraints and to align the constraints so that it can happen. Also, second biggest difficulty is about the business. What I didn't tell you is that this burger is built with the business, but not full-time business. So we need to make them understand that we need really the business people in the kitchen with us during all the time, all the sprints. So that's the next steps.
Absolutely. This also reminds me that the process of change is a continuous search and then tackling of what is the next thing to change, right? Like when you start to pull teams together, you find a weak spot. Maybe it's the product owners who are not up to speed anymore, or maybe it's customer support that suddenly doesn't get any time and they still need time because they're still live customers out there, whatever that is, right? It's always about finding the next weak spot and together with the team working on solving that weak spot.
Yes, I like that, Vasco. And maybe as an advice or a tip for our Scrum Masters listening, I'm always asking myself, if the sprint ends tomorrow, what should I do? What is the last thing I want to do to improve things? And that way, I always try to find the top priority to change, in fact.
Absolutely. That's actually a very good tip. Like the way I translate that in my mind is that when you don't know what to do, then just shrink the timeline until it becomes obvious what you need to do, right? Like you said, tomorrow, right? So like shrink the timeline until you go like, okay, now I know what to do.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that, Stephane.
My pleasure, Vasco.
Leading change is one of the core skills we must acquire, but it is only one of the steps towards our success as Scrum Masters. Tomorrow, on Success Thursday, we will talk about how to define success for the Scrum Master role, we'll cover tips on how to measure your way to that position, and most importantly, how to develop that focus on continuous improvement that is as important for Scrum Masters as it is for teams. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.